Let's move on to role insights. What do you enjoy most about your current role?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, the current role, I think I'm blessed to have a really good boss. Kira is a really good people manager. What I really enjoy about what I'm learning from her is how she's able to reframe problems and get to the root cause of an issue, um, in a very direct way, which is certainly a quality I want to develop. So I think, working for a great person is critical to your enjoyment in any job. So I'm lucky to have that where I'm at Entain. I think another thing enjoy about my current role is we have a very clear direction. And oftentimes the destination you're trying to get to can be undermined by the technology you're trying to use to get there. And we've got a really good technology solution in place. So I'm excited that we actually have a way of achieving our goals and our ambitions as well. That's sort of a big investment back end of last year. It means we go into this year with a lot of momentum. So I'm certainly happy about that in our current role. And the last thing would be that the operator base we release content to, like, yes, we're in-house, but Entain have a massive, hugely successful, well celebrated list of operators that take our games. And having a relationship, that close relationship with those brands and the commercial managers, it's something I really enjoy having that direct feedback, even during the development process. Them telling us what are their customers looking for, what are they hoping to see, and building that into the projects we choose to spend our time working on. So yeah, they're probably the three things I enjoy most about my current role.
Can you mention one to three aspects you enjoy the least about your role?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I've got to be careful about who's watching this, but no. I think that every job, no matter what, it's still a role, it's still an employment position. So there's going to be things that you're asked to do that you don't want to do sometimes. And trying to find a role where that bit is minimized across your career is probably, a lot of what makes you happy in your career. So I think in this particular current role, reshaping organizations. When I came in, I felt there was a way to optimize process, and sometimes optimization means you know, needing a different profile of person, moving some people on out of the business that I think we could still have success or different success with different people. So that human impact element, that's easily the hardest thing that any leader will do within a space is coming into an existing mature business and saying, I want to do it differently. And having to let people go, that's never going to get easy. And it should never get easy. It should always be a difficult decision to make because you are having a direct impact on people. Um, Outside of that, I would say sitting remotely. We talked at the top of the top of the interview. I sit in Malta. I do have an office here in Malta with Entain, but I don't have any direct colleagues that work in Entain Studios sitting with me. So I've got a good number of my leadership team are in Manchester and Liverpool and Leeds. And we've got a really good team in Hyderabad as well. Some good leadership, great leadership there also. So I'd say sitting remotely is probably one of the hardest things. I'm very used to working day to day, not necessarily looking over the shoulders of someone coding, or drawing some new artwork or animation, but having a lot closer proximity to their work. And I do miss that. It's probably the hardest bit. You end up working differently to overcome that. And then, interestingly, given the nature of your business, Crystal, recruitment, actually, I think that's one of the things I can take the least pleasure in. It's within Entain, we have a fantastic talent acquisition team that do so much of the hard work for me. I get to see the people almost at the end of that process. But because of my own sensibilities, I fall in love really easily. Like I'll meet a candidate and I'll see all the good in them and I'll start to cherry pick bits that they've done within their career that I think will complement what I'm looking for really well. And actually, it doesn't make me a great judge of not judge a character. I think judge a character is fine, but it doesn't make a great judge of picking the right person always. So I sometimes get it wrong, and I think that's probably one of the things I find the hardest. When someone is leaving a company to come and join our company, they're putting their faith in that business, that that business has made the right decision, as well as that they've made the right decision. So it's something that I think I can be better at. And, at the moment we're doing a fair amount of recruitment. So it's something that I think I would love it if there was just a little magic button I can press and you get the right people come through the door.
So the next topic is tools of the trade. Ben, can you give us three essential tools or software that you like to use?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, obviously all the usual. We work in a e-commerce business digitally online. So we're regularly using Entane. We use Teams and Microsoft products for communication. So all of our tooling is the standard. Jira from Atlassian is probably about as exotic as it gets. Confluence, etc. From my own personal perspective, I think what I would consider a tool is having multiple accounts with lots of different operators, so gambling accounts being ensuring that I'm keeping on top of what good looks like. So when we're making product development decisions, we are being competitive. We're doing something fun ourselves. So one of the key tools I would say is actually having those accounts to be able to log in and see what our competitors are doing, but also because I love to play. If I'm being honest, I can't expense my research, unfortunately. Then if the reels on Instagram are to be believed that I watch, I think I exhibit ADHD tendencies. So maybe this interview is an exception, but I'm regularly sat with a pen and pencil doodling during an online meeting. I'm a prolific note taker. Like I've got stacks and stacks of books that I've gone through, and I probably don't go back to more than 1% of the notes. It's rare. Like I think I'm very much a pictorial learner. Um, and the act of writing helps me remember data and facts better rather than just hearing them. So that's probably one of my key tools. And I do keep flirting with the idea of getting one of these tablets to write on. Maybe it's easier to go back
Remarkable.
and exactly the remarkable tool too. I was reading some reviews yesterday. They look awesome.
I know.
I think it still looks so expensive considering how cheap a paperback book is and how many pens I get gifted at conferences. So I think it's probably one of those investments I will make. It's like it
Uh-huh.
feels like a big boy decision. But I'd say notepad and pen are critical to my own sensibilities when doing my job. And the last one I've had to say is the cameras. So, doing the calls, working remotely, having cameras on the laptops. Um, I do spoke about it earlier. I like developing people and getting that real-time feedback on from facial expressions or how, making sure that I've got every opportunity to understand someone's tonality in something they're saying, because sometimes you can hear the way someone's saying something, but when you see them deliver it, you understand actually that they're meaning it in a good way, humorous way. So I think one of the key tools being a remote worker is having that camera on the laptops and making sure that they're on during, especially one-to-one conversations, obviously. One of the things I would recommend is to take more risks. So just ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? I used to early in my career, I think it was a Tim Ferriss book I was listening to, or podcast, and I remember having the idea that working out what is the absolute worst that could happen. So if you go to a new job, it doesn't work out, you find yourself without a job, what's the worst that could happen? Back then, it was I moved back in with my mum. Do you know what? That's all right. I can do that for a while. She might not appreciate it, but if you find yourself that's as low as you're going to fall, and you can get back into work, then I think taking those risks where you're not certain it's going to work out, but the upside's really good, then be okay with it. I would encourage people to take risks and step outside of their comfort zone. This is something I was talking recently about my career has really been pockmarked or not pockmarked, beset by me taking on taking on other roles that aren't part of my core job. And I see this less and less as I mature through my career. I don't know if it's a generational thing, but I've certainly seen there's been fewer people are willing to do work that doesn't fall under their direct remit. And that's a lot of my career has been afforded to me because I would step outside my comfort zone and say, this person's struggling, let me help, teach me what you have to do. I'll give you support, and then I'll grow into that department within the business, or I'll then have additional insight that says, oh, do you know what? Actually, we could do this process completely differently and add value elsewhere. So, and yeah, one of the keys for me for thriving in that industry is absolutely do take on work that isn't necessarily under your job description, because it would definitely help educate you on what you could do differently in your own role as well. Last one I'd say is be kind, be a good listener, and be your authentic self. Um, I don't think I've compromised on my morals as a leader within business. I was regularly told by my peers that I need to have a greater, a steelier exterior, be more, have a harsher way of leading. And I've never compromised on that. And I have no regrets on being a little bit soft, being a little bit, highly empathetic. It's something that I feel characterizes me. Maybe I could have an even better career, but I'm delighted with everything I've done so far, and I'm excited about the future. And I haven't had to compromise on who I am during that time.